Hope you are able to hear me. So, PVB Geek is asking the first question. I'm here. So, yeah, feel free to ask any questions you have. I'm going to be staying here for at least an hour, hour and a half. So, yeah, let's try to make the time worth it. And for this stream, I set up a goal. It's 5 super chats. Hopefully, if you have financial needs, yeah, definitely I would appreciate that. It's not mandatory, so hopefully we can do something about it. Let's see. So feel free to ask your questions. And yeah, for this stream I did something different. So this time I have put in this like questions tab on. So whenever anyone asks a question, I'm just going to paste the question at the top, so everyone would be able to see that what I'm talking about. That would become useful when I actually want to create separate videos from my existing live stream, because many questions I realize are pretty important. So okay, first question is USA, UK, Europe में IT कैसे काम. Okay, so let me just convert this question in English. Basically, question is USA, UK, and Europe for IT jobs. Basically, in my opinion, I think you can find an IT job anywhere. A lot of people have. If you are based in India and if you are looking for foreign jobs, like I don't have personal experience because I graduated in Canada and I found work over here, but I know some friends who have been able to go through like Infosys or TCS route. So that's option one. Like find a company that works with foreign clients and grind there for like 2-3 years, and hopefully you get lucky and find some place where you can actually get jobs in some foreign country. So that's option one. Second option, become really smart. Become really smart at your craft. Become really smart as an engineer. So you have the you are able to solve interviews, crack problems. And that is like even tougher route, like because you need to be really good for them to actually consider hiring you from a different country. So if that is something you can manage, yeah, of course there are ways of achieving that. I've seen people do it, so yeah, of course you can do it. Okay, next question is coming from Rishabh. So let me just paste this question over here. It's a pretty long question, so let me just break it down. I don't know if there's a way to place it over here. Just a second, bear with me for a moment. I'm just trying to figure out how to fit the entire question in just one panel. Looks like it's not letting me do that. Okay. I think this is the question is being asked. Okay, finally I've been able to figure it out. All right, so question seems like I've done my graduation in June, but in which company I'm placed that I could not give me joining letter, and I tried my level best but could not get success. What is good approach to target? Just keep applying to different companies, see if there are more placements happening. Hopefully you can find some other companies that is hiring, and Rishabh, maybe you are able to do some find some place where you can find another approach. I think I did not get your question completely, to be honest. I think what you're asking is you received offer but never received joining letter, which means it, for some reason companies, they take their offers back, or they just couldn't fill the head count for 10 number of things. And what is the best level of success? What is the good approach to target? Just approaches, keep applying to different companies. That is the only approach I can suggest. Okay, next question is by Ayan Virji. So let me just paste the question once again. Okay, how to actually get good at dynamic programming and backtracking? Have been struggling with those lead code problems the most. I mean, they are one of the trickiest to be able to solve. So I wouldn't lie. It's not very easy to come up with a better solution for each one of them. Now, two things that I find the best while working with both dynamic programming and backtracking is number one, first you need to identify when you are going to use the dynamic programming solution. So let me give you an example. Let's say that we are trying to solve the classic coin flip problem, climbing stairs problem, right? So now in the climbing stairs problem, problem states that amongst the given number of total steps, let's say if you have the ability to take one step at a time or take two steps at a time. Now you need to find ways to reach at the top. That is a classic dynamic programming problem, right? Now a lot of people know, once they realize that, why don't I just start counting at every single level, what is going to be the maximum way, and then they can solve the problem easily, right? The thing is, that is what classic dynamic programming is. It is an extension or a subset of a brute force, because even in the brute force, that is the exact approach. So in dynamic programming, number one thing is, whenever you are trying to come up with a brute force solution, try to think that whether brute force is the only way to crack the or come up with the solution, but the only way to make it faster is, what if you already store the result that you have already calculated? So in that dynamic programming problem that I just explained, what we do, we take a base case that if we only have one step, how many different ways we can reach at top? Just one. If we have two steps, what are different ways we can reach at top? So one step is like directly taking two steps, or one way is taking one step and then one step. So two. So those two becomes our base cases. And then we have to realize that now if we are given three steps, what is going to be the approach? We only can reach to the third step from either first step or second step. So it would be sum of both of them. And that is, now it becomes much easier to comprehend the dynamic programming solution. Now it becomes way more difficult in dynamic programming when you start dealing with two-dimensional dynamic programming, because now you're dealing with three distinct values in a 2D dynamic programming solution. And there are a lot of classic examples for that as well. I don't want to get into detail of all of this, but the key point here I want to make is that understanding that this is going to be a dynamic programming solution is much more difficult, and then try to start building up your solution from either at either extent, like bottom up or top down. I have a full course on dynamic programming, both for 1D and 2D dynamic programming. So hopefully you can start getting understanding from that way, go through those courses. Definitely it would be helpful. They are free, available on YouTube. Second thing, when it comes to backtracking. So for the backtracking, let's try to understand the real life scenario. Let's say that you are in a new city and you are trying to navigate a path from point A to point X. Now, you know that there are 10 different ways, and a couple of ways would lead to nowhere. So what would you do? You would go from point A to point B, and from point B to point C. And at point C, you realize that this never works. So what would you do? You would come back to point B and then try to go to point D. Because so that is what you are doing right now, is you are just following the DFS pattern where you are using backtracking to solve the problem. That is the whole approach of understanding that in a common scenario, how a rat would solve a maze through backtracking, right? That's the only way. That is also what you are trying to solve with your problem. Don't be in a scenario where you are only thinking about problem from computer science point of view. Think of it just like, what if you have no knowledge of computer science and you are still trying to solve this problem? How would you do it? and this is the only way you would be able to solve it. So that's how you become good at dynamic programming and backtracking, by realizing these two things. Now I know they are one of the most difficult patterns to master. I have courses on both of them on my YouTube channel. There are also tons of other courses that a lot of other very smart people have done. Go check them out. Simplest solution is practice, but more complex solution is trying to understand it not only from computer science point of view. I hope my answer made sense to you. Now next I'll take question from Govind Raj. So let me just paste the question over here. And by the way, I just want to make one thing clear. I am going through questions one by one. So it might happen like I might not read the full chat, but eventually I will go through the entire chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to paste it in the chat, and or if you have any comments for me, feel free to just paste it over here, and I can just check it out eventually. Okay. So this next question Govind Raj is asking is, I can, okay, you are intuitive when I watch your video, but after some time I forget. And if we note kind of things, it would be helpful for revise. I understand you have your own stuff. Like, oh, I think you are asking me to make some notes, Govind Raj. Now, to be very honest, I rarely find time to even keep up with YouTube at the moment because of all the things happening in my personal life. So unfortunately, I don't have the resources to create like dedicated notes and things like that. The only thing I can suggest is either watch my videos and like make your own notes. Second thing, ask AI, like ask ChatGPT, Gemini, for any particular topic. It can create beautiful notes for you that would be easier for you to remind yourself. So don't, you already have AI. I did not have that option. You have this option now. So why are you not leveraging it? So start leveraging it as quickly as possible. Okay, now next question I'm taking is from Vaibhav Kesarwani. So once again, let me just paste the question. How to get the job in 2025 while studying from a tier 3 college? By becoming good at your knowledge. That's the simplest answer. I know it's very difficult to say, like in countries, some countries, college and universities matter a lot. In other countries, they don't. Like in North America, honestly, like very few people even care what university you graduated from, unless you graduated something from like Harvard or Princeton or something very like high above the bar. Then they would be odd, but apart from that, they would be like, yeah, okay, you have this education, but let me know what skills you have. So that's the culture in North American scene. I don't know about Europe, never been there. In Indian diaspora, yes, there is notion of I would say fascination with NITs and IITs. That's a given fact, no one can deny that. But that doesn't mean that someone from a tier 3 college cannot get into a good IT job, or they cannot do something better. Like I am proud to say that I hail from a tier 3 or tier 4 college, if you want to say. I graduated from a very modest college. I had great friends and I had like good teachers. So I'm proud of that, and I had great time at my university. Now I never really straight up got job after finishing. I came to Canada, but the thing is, I had friends who actually received jobs and they are doing pretty good in their career. How did they do it? They did not only rely on their colleges. They went out there, they started learning on their own. So they started understanding that what are the things that they should be learning, what is the current demand in the company. And that's where the key resource comes to you, is your seniors. Whether they are your seniors from your own college or some other college, reach out to them, ask them that how did you finish, how did you started applying for companies, and what experiences you gained, how did you become good at your job. Once you have that information, note it down. understand what skills are they going to be looking at, and start developing those skills. Now if you are already in um, studying, so which means you have time at hand, you still have 20-25 minutes, so sorry, 20 months or somewhere between that, right? So if you have like 15 to 20 months to prepare on top of your studies, even if you spend like an hour a day, you will still be very good in your game. So my best example would be, start making some iPhone or Android apps. They would be really good for you, because definitely you can showcase your work in any interview, and even it looks great on your resume or LinkedIn. So that would be my go-to thing to do if I want to impress someone. Second thing, if you can't do that, start contributing to open source projects and start building your network. So that is the only way to get good jobs, is number one, having skills, number two, uh, finding ways to creating interviews, and you need to be good at both. So in that aspect, whether you are from tier 1 college or tier 2 college or tier 3 college, it hardly matters. So I hope this answers your question, Vaibhav. Next question is once again from Govind Raj. So let me just paste the question. Okay, so question is, I have 3 years of experience as Java developer. Will I get IT in UK, US, Australia, and New Zealand? Of course, you can. The only thing is you need to keep on applying, and you need to showcasing that yeah, you have the skills that you can do the job. So if you can do it, I'm sure there is some company out there in any country you like that can hire you. Now there are a lot of immigration concerns, so I'm not sure how the company would manage that. I know someone who lives in India and works for a very popular company in USA, Hudson River Trading, like fabulous company, very smart. They hire very smart people, and that person lives in India and makes like good chunk of money. And of course, he was able to do it because he was smart. So that's what I would hope you become. That of course you have Java experience. That's good. Yeah, maybe you can keep applying to different companies and see how it goes. I have in Canada, I have worked with people from India, Philippines, and other countries. So of course there is a lot of foreign hiring going on, but the only thing is you have to sometimes be persistent in applying, because many times you don't know when the right opportunity is going to come in. Okay, Ayan is once again asking a question. So let me just paste the question over here. Okay, so if I see, the question is, thank you for your help. One additional question. Do you think there is an ideal lead code contest rating to identify if you're ready for tier 1 FAANG company? Currently have 1500 rating for contest. If you are getting 1500 ratings, that's good. That's a good sign. Now second question is, are you ready for FAANG interview or not? To be honest, lead code is not the only thing defining that. What do I mean by that? When you interview at FAANG companies, they are not looking for whether you can solve this lead code problem or that lead code problem. They are more interested in seeing or understanding your approach, your thinking process, your communication. Lot of, like, there are 10 other factors. So how do you actually manage those things? That is even more important than only being able to solve lead code. Like, being able to solve lead code is the number one requirement. That's a given fact. But you are sitting for 45 minutes in front of an interviewer. For 45 minutes, that interviewer is trying to make sure that how does your brain works. Not only that, whether you are able to solve this problem or not. They are intentionally going to ask you random questions, check if you are like stating your thoughts clearly or not, and things like that. So that, and in my opinion, if you want to become good at those things, the only thing you can do do is mock interviews. Because during a mock interview, what you would do is like find a friend who is as passionate as you, number one thing. Number two, keep regular mocks, like at least two mocks in a week. And in those mocks, make sure that you take questions from, of course, existing FAANG companies. Try to twist those questions in different wordings or something else, and see how, like, how your friend discusses the idea and how you discuss that idea. Record those sessions, so preferably do it on Zoom or Teams, and then analyze it. Because when you are acting as an interviewer, you realize that what those awkward silences or pauses can mean. Like if your friend, let's say, is taking 5 minutes to think and not conveying his or her thoughts, then definitely as an interviewer you would start feeling uncomfortable, and you would want them to at least speak out. And that is the experience. Once you gained, you can actually realize that in an interview as well. Now, from a company standpoint, think of one thing: FAANG engineers have a lot of important things to do, and they are actually more interested in finding the right candidate quickly, because they have like 50 things that they need to do, and still they are, if they are like spending 5 to 10 hours a week interviewing people, they are not doing something productive. So their vested interest in making sure that whether you are able to be that right candidate. So they would always be nicer, and they would try to find you in that regard. So that's why I'm suggesting, like, make sure that number one, you become good at lead code, but number two, you become good at your communication and like stating your thoughts, stating your thought process. And even if you get stuck at some place, which is absolutely normal, how do you get out of that situation? Because it's one thing knowing answer and being able to flaunt that, hey, I know the solution, and it's other thing not knowing the answer and actually having that epiphany and then coming up to that solution. So it's both the things, in my opinion. Okay, now let's just go to the next question by Tan Han Tran. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Let me just paste the question over here. Okay, I have graduated. Is it possible to apply for big tech companies like FAANG companies as an intern position? I mean, the bar for intern position is one of the pre-qualifications, in my opinion, would be that you have to be part of some education. If you are recent graduate, maybe you can argue that, hey, I'm still part of the university and in that ecosystem. Like I don't know what the policy is for those job postings. Uh, One thing I would suggest is there is no harm in trying. So why don't just try? Just at least apply. What's the worst that it's going to happen? You would have a call with HR, and HR would be like, hey, we are only looking for people who are still studying, so maybe you are not eligible for this. Maybe we can keep you in the loop for some other position. But in my opinion, there is no harm in applying at least. And if you do get a call, just be honest with them, saying that, hey, I'm about I completed all my credits and I am about to graduate, or I already graduated, but I'm still closely associated and I'm looking for experience working for this company, like this FAANG company, and that's why I'm also able to join as an intern, because it would be great for me to learn from all of these like smart engineers and whatnot. So yeah, you can put it that way. um Okay, next question is from Homelander. Sir, any good resources for competitive programming in English? I think there are a lot of YouTubers out there who are actually teaching the stuff. Now, if you're looking for resources, I would suggest start looking at ChatGPT or Gemini AI, because they are, to be honest, fabulous. So they are pretty good. You can leverage them in a lot of different ways, and I would suggest that you do that. Once again, oh, by the way, Just a quick shout out. So this was also a response that other people can also leverage, that these are some of the uh, resources from for competitive programming. Okay, now once again, let's see. The question is from Govind Raj. Let's today I watch one DSA video. This is remember intuition for a while, but after some days again, I need to rewatch it. I mean, it will happen sometimes. For a lot of time, lot of things. Uh, there is a term called Dunning-Kruger effect, where when you're learning something new, you become really good really fast, and then there is like a learning curve where your confidence level drops, but your learning would grow, and eventually you would gain more confidence. So maybe as part of that, you are just going through the natural progression of being good at something. Many times you have to redo the same thing again and again, but it just takes practice. To be honest, that's the only thing I can suggest, that it is a practice issue. And many people get it like quickly than the others, but overall, if you put your mind and heart to it, and if you practice over it, you are able to solve it. Yeah, so that's my opinion. Okay, next question is, how to land a job, sir, as a fresher? I'm into MERN, but I struggle to build business logics. If you are a fresher, yeah, just don't just get stuck to MERN stack. You can start also looking at elsewhere. There are IT field is huge. There are a lot of openings, so you can become like front end, back end engineer. You can start looking at different openings on LinkedIn. See what is trending. See what are the common keywords. What are the common patterns, and start looking at those, and also applying to those roles as well. So don't, if you're struggling at one thing, maybe see if you can become better at something else. Also, if you are struggling at one step, why don't just practice more? You can also even become better at it. Let's say if you are struggling right now and you are looking, why would someone hire you if you are struggling? So try to see if you can get good at it. um, and also, frustrated guy code says maybe coding is not for me. I mean, that's absolutely fine. If that's the case, that if coding is not for you, maybe you can try thinking of becoming business analyst, or database engineer, or infrastructure admin, DevOps engineer. There are like 50 different careers that I can think of, so hopefully you can find some way around that. Okay, next question is, it's by Ayan. So let me just paste the question over here. It's a pretty long question. I have 3 years of experience as SCWE, pivoted into data analytics. What do you think for junior roles? I still need to prepare for system design, also on top of those lead course. Now the thing is, for if you are applying for junior dev role, there is low expectation on system design front. But I think since you already have 3 years of experience as an SWE, someone interviewing would be curious to learn that what did you gain in those 3 years apart from just the technical prowess. So they might ask you some system design questions. Now again, remember, it goes hand in hand depending on, number one, what type of interview you are applying for, and number two, what the interviewer actually ends up asking you. Let's say if I'm interviewing you, I'm hiring for a junior role, I would still ask you that, hey, since you already have 3 years of experience, let's say that if I'm trying to build a system, something like this, I wouldn't go too deep in system design, but I would just say that, let's say if I'm trying to modernize an existing old monolith database and I want to move it to a newer microservice based model, what would your approach be? What would you suggest? It would be like an open ended question, but I would still want to learn your approach. So that's like a not a very difficult system design problem, but just understanding and realizing your thinking process. That would be my suggestion, that at least have those, be ready for some of those kind of questions. And you can also be very honest and just say that, hey, in my initial 3 years I was mostly focused on completing the task through coding or something, so I never really had chance to work on those bigger level discussions, but hey, I still have learned these like few things or these basic concepts on how a system should be, like single point failure should be avoided. We will try to do like a horizontal scaling before vertical scaling, see how the networking would work. If we want, how can we make things faster, what is the difference between like a SQL or no SQL DB choice and things like that. So yeah, those are the things that I would be curious to know, and if I were you, I would prepare on those. Once again, next question is from Govind Raj. So let me paste that question over here. I often fail to answer scenario based questions. How to learn this? Please make how to answer scenario based questions. I have bunch of questions. What do you mean by scenario based questions, Govindraj? Maybe if you can explain, I can understand. Are you talking about behavioral questions? Because those are typical scenario based, or what else? Yeah, some example would be good. So just paste it in the chat and eventually I would get there. Okay, next question is by Akshay Handpad. So he's asking that I have 1 year experience in CPP, C++, took 1 year gap, family and health issues. How do I get back into IT? 4 to 5 lakhs per annum maximum expectation. What would be my strategy? Like, first thing would be, if you are already out of the job work and you are trying to get back into it, I would say start applying bunch of places, and see, just be ready for this question, that why did you took 1 year gap, what happened, and just be honest, like without showering them with the exact details. Just be honest that, hey, I had this health issue or family health issue, something like this happened, and that's why I was not able to get into like stay within the workforce, but now that issue has been dealt with, and now I want to get back into the work so I can work on my career and also support my family. So that would be number one thing that I would do. Second thing that I would suggest is, you actually reach out to like all of your old colleagues or your old company, different people on LinkedIn, to see if there are any openings and you can get some good referrals that way. So that can be a good strategy. Second thing, be prepared to answer the question that will you be able to bring up to speed, because since you haven't been working for the past 1 year, so how are you keeping your axe sharpened? That's a common thing, and for that you can just say that, hey, even though I was not working, I kept into the loop of what things have changed. I'm passionate about technology. I did this project on the sidelines. Some just showcasing your skills if you have something to showcase. Apart from that, yeah, I would just suggest reach out to your old colleagues, your old company, see if there are some openings that way. And apart from that, yeah, just keep applying bunch of places. Hopefully you land a good job. How to successfully crack the bar raiser round consistently? That's a tough question. If there is no one straight answer to it, simplest answer is be extraordinary, but it's not possible every time. Second thing, how to successfully crack bar raiser consistently? That is also difficult. Why? Because there is always that possibility that even if you had the exceptional interview perfectly given in all sorts of way, there can be someone else much better than you who is able to do the job in way better fashion and with better experience and whatnot. So they might choose that person over you. There is always that possibility, so be prepared for that. The only thing you can do is give your honest interview, start learning new skills, and make sure that you communicate that nicely within an interview. Communication would be the major piece in my opinion, because not many people realize that how important communication can be in an actual interview. And everyone feels struggles during interviews, the interview jitters and things like that. I would just say have your stories right, have the things ready. Try to understand the intent of the question, that what, and if you're not clear, don't be shy and just ask directly that, hey, is this what you mean by this? Do you want me to explain more about this, whatnot? So that's what my suggestion would be. And also, if you are not able to crack the bar raiser, um, like that is also fine. Steve Jobs used to say, some years you win, some years you build characters. That's how, like in some interviews you win, in some interviews you build character. So treat them as one of those character building interviews where you are just not able to make it. Never shy away from getting the feedback from the HR or from the recruiter, that hey, what did the hiring manager had to say about me or myself? I had I just want to like draw away and share a quick story. Like I got hired at a company for a 3-month contract, and I was having like lunch with my manager at that time, and there was also one another lady who also got hired with me. During the lunch, actually, the lady sitting there, she actually asked my manager and her manager at that time, that what was the reason that you decided to hire me. And I never thought about asking this question before to all the places I got hired. Like, of course, I have asked this question at all the places I got rejected, but never at all the places I got hired. So even when you do crack an interview and you, let's say you move on to the next rounds, at least just ask that, hey, what did you like about myself in my interview? Or what was your thought process before you actually hired me? So yeah, just something, yeah, something to keep in mind. Sir, are there any entry level front end jobs? Of course there are. How else would anyone get into front end in the first place if there are no entry level jobs? There are always going to be entry level jobs. But the thing is, the minimum bar of calling it entry level would be completely off. Like 10 years back, entry level would be something that, hey, if you do, you should know generic principles of HTML and CSS, and we'll hire you, train you in everything, and then we will work on it. Right now, the minimum requirement would be that you should be good at React, you should be good at pop-ups, you should be good at understanding this framework and that framework, and UI and UX design, and maybe 5 other things. So it's always going to be there, but the bar for entry level would be slightly higher than what it used to be. And there is a very clear reason for that, because if you see 10 years back, there was not that many resources available, not on YouTube, not on other places where you can find this stuff constantly, especially not with the AI. Right now you have all of these latest and greatest tools, more awareness, and much better internet connectivity, and much more awareness of how to actually get things done. So of course companies are also going to expect more from you. So yeah, there are entry level jobs and anyone can do it, just have to be good at it. Okay, next question is, sir, I am a BTech student. I had made several projects, but I don't have any mentor for me. I want an internship. uh, if you don't have any mentors, go and find some mentors. Mentors can, you can find mentors in your seniors, maybe your university professors, assistant professors, associates, someone who has already graduated, someone who is currently working in IT, anyone. Just go them, reach out that, hey, this is what I've done. I have done some projects. I'm still looking. I'm yet to graduate. I still have maybe 1 semester, 2 semester, 3 semesters left. What do I do? So they definitely, if you ask for help, everyone is at least going to give you something, maybe a helping hand, maybe a suggestion, maybe they will point you to the right person. So don't be shy to look at it, and reach out to these people. Many colleges and universities also have their career counseling bodies, so some department who actually helps with career counseling or guidance in that regard. Also reach out to them that, hey, is there any way I can find some mentors for me? And I know maybe most of the colleges don't have that. So if they don't, still you have your own career, and that is in your hands. So don't just say that, hey, because my college doesn't have this program, I am not doing good. Yeah, that's not an excuse. So find a way. I would start with reaching out to seniors. That would be my opinion. Okay, next question is, bro, for a fresher, which company is better, Tech Mahindra or Accenture? Man, any, both of them. Both of them are doing really good work. And to be honest, as a fresher, I think I would I would say, don't have this unless you have both jobs on hand. Okay, let's say you interview at Tech Mahindra and Accenture, and you have offer letters from both the places, and you are trying to decide. Then it becomes a question that which one should I pick. But let's say if you are only interviewing for both places, don't have that mindset that because Accenture is better in my mind, I'm only going to focus on that. Focus on all the companies you are interviewing for. If you have both offers, that's great. Then in my opinion, you can go with either. Both are really good companies. Then next question would be, what technology or what role you would be working on. It could be possible Accenture, because it has broader footprint across the globe, speaking in terms of projects and whatnot. One might think that Accenture might be better, but let's say at Tech Mahindra, you have the ability to work on some latest cool technology. Maybe they're working with Gen AI, or maybe they're working with Databricks or Snowflake or something like that. That is really high in demand. Then even in that scenario, are you going to be thinking of working at Accenture? Of course not. You might think of Tech Mahindra. So that's how. Think of what role you are applying for and what technology you would be working on in your career, and then decide. Don't just go for any company name. Okay. I Next question is, I'm in my fifth sem of BTech. I'm doing good in DSA basics. Would you recommend me doing competitive programming? Of course, man. If you have time, do competitive programming, but don't only do competitive programming. That's my advice to you would be. Competitive programming is a great way to become master at different lead codes, because you are trying to stay within a deadline. But many times, once again, I was explaining before that in an interview, it's not that how quickly you can think the solution in your head and come up with it. what I it's more important that what your communication is, what your thought process is, and if there are like difference in opinions or difference in questions come in, how do you tackle that? How do you tackle a scenario where you don't know the answer, and how do you come up with that, explaining your entire thought process? So what I would suggest you is, since you are already in your fifth sem, maybe spend one sem or 1 to 2 sem or die hard on competitive programming. But after that, continue to do competitive programming on like part-time basis, and then start doing mock interviews and start like finding a mentor, and applying at different companies for internships. At the same time, whenever you achieve something through your competitive programming, just don't be shy to flaunt that or showcase that on your LinkedIn, and reach out to more people on LinkedIn. That is what my suggestion to you would be. Once again, I'm going to repeat, uh, try to continue, like be good as a competitive programmer. Reach out to different people on throughout your LinkedIn. Find a mentor, find someone you can do mock interviews with. Start applying to bunch of companies. Once you are in that final stages of your study, try to find internships if you can in between, and keep on showcasing your skills on LinkedIn. That's what my suggestion to you would be. Sir, your teaching is very addictive. I spend many nights watching your DSA videos and don't go get bored for a moment. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Okay, I have been working on Spring Boot framework and I have solid foundation on object oriented programming concepts and made few REST APIs with it. Can you suggest me few projects to make my resume stronger? And I am a fresher. Something you can publish and something you can showcase. That would be my go-to option. Um, some good projects would be a contribution to an open source project. Now, how to do it? There are like hundreds of articles on it, that how to become good at um, basically giving out, like contributing to open source projects. That is the number one highlight that anyone can see on your resume. Number two, maybe try to build some backend APIs that do some sort of like calculation. Maybe try to simulate like a bank mortgage payment calculator scenario. It's a real life practical application, very easy to implement, and it just takes like few simple, you can do it over a weekend. So that can be one option. Maybe you can do some game. So try to create a game like in Google Chrome they have like a dinosaur that runs and then jumps over. You can also create that and run it on your local browser and have it published somewhere. So yeah, that these are like few suggestions that I can give you. uh, One of the best ones that really catches anyone's eye would be, once again, my favorite, building a Android or iOS app. But since you are talking about like Spring Boot framework, yeah, it doesn't cover there. Maybe you have to learn something new over there. But still, if you learn something and also do it, it will be good learning journey as well. So you can also say that, and that would be a new skill that you are working. I think I already answered this question. Yeah, find I can show you how to find a good mentor. Reach out to your seniors, reach out to other people, and hopefully you are able to come up with the solutions. Okay, next question is, I am really good at React and libraries, but still jobless. I think jobless and broke. Many people are. I'm sorry to. I'm basically sorry to see that, man. Even though you are good at React and other libraries, yeah, you can get better with other things. So other things could be learning more skills and doing more networking. Difficult part is not being able to gain the skills, but difficult part is actually get more interviews. So I gave this analogy, like back in the day, when I got laid off first time, somebody told me that, hey, be prepared for 100 resumes, 10 interviews and one job. After I went through the whole ordeal, my experience has been that maybe like 5,000 applications or 5,000 applications, maybe like 10 to 15 interviews and then one job. So in my opinion, if you are not able to find a job, apply at more places, curate your resume, try to see if you can gain some referrals through your seniors or someone you on LinkedIn, and hopefully it can help you that way. But I know it's a tough job market, so I feel your pain, bro. I have been jobless before and it's really hard. How can I make interviewer believe I am good at coding and parallelly kept myself connected with coding? Mm, I think is this continuation to some other question? Let me first check. Oh yeah, so this is the person who asked that, who has been out of work for close to like 1 year, like he is not able to work, and now he wants to get back in job. So now his next question is, how can I make interviewer believe that I'm good at coding and parallelly kept myself connected with coding? So number one, when you're giving an interview, I think it would be easier for interviewer to judge whether you are good at coding or not, if that is a coding interview. So that's a simple part. If let's say it's not a coding interview, they would still ask you technical questions and they would try to judge you based on that. So your interviewer would probably be able to tell that whether you are good at coding or not. Second thing, understanding that uh, convincing them that whether you have kept yourself in connection with coding or not. Many times, if they don't explicitly ask this question, they still might think in their mind. Or it would be better if during your introduction, when you are explaining that, hey, you took a break of 1 year from your work experience, you can just explain that during that break, yes, you are focusing on these like family members health issues and these like five different things. But during your free time here and there, you, because you are interested in like doing coding or something with technology, just showcase that I did this or I did that, and have some proof with it. So that's where your personal projects would come in place. That is the only way to convince someone that during your absence, you are still at least being you were connected with coding. So if I were you, maybe I might have some sample project running, or let's say because of some reason you were super busy, you were not able to do any of those things. Just say it out loud that, hey, I worked for 1 year, I took break for 1 year. Now during the break, even though I was focusing on other things, I still really enjoyed coding before, so that's why I still have that experience with me, and I brush up on some concepts. And ever since I've started interviewing at different companies, I've actually started to sharpen my skills. So for that, I did this, that, whatnot. So you can also say it that way. By the way, Milind Kumar Sahu is saying that not got any interview opportunities. Man, it's pretty common. Lot of, and that's why getting interviews is pretty tough. So in my opinion, yeah, just apply at more places and reach out to more people. Okay. Next question is, please tell us your story. What are the things you have faced? How you overcome this? When you are learning stage, how do you learn? And what was your learning strategy? Okay, my story is number one. I never was a good programmer or coder, but I had good analytical mind. That was one of my strengths. Now, second thing is, I was working at a company for close to 5 6 years. I was pretty comfortable at my job, and I never had any intentions to change. That all changed when I found out that my wife was pregnant, and then I was going to have twins. So that was the moment I decided that, hey, I needed to do something different. And that was the birth of this channel. Like, she suggested that, hey, why, if you, because I was never good with lead code or DSA, never even prepared for it. I knew that I have maybe, if I start today, it would take me 6 months to a year to at least get at a level where I can be presentable in an interview. That's why she suggested that you only know something that you are that you understood properly if you can teach others. So why don't you make a goal of not solving by yourself, but making a video showcasing that you are able to explain it to others. And that's why I created this channel, Destination FAANG. Initially, because I did not had kids at that time, and I knew that kids were on the way in 9 months, so I started making more and more, bunch of more videos. Like, I was almost doing daily uploads, and that daily uploads, because for each problem I had to make a video about it. It took me extreme amount, I took extreme measures to make sure that I understood that problem before I actually start making videos. Because initially when I started making videos, I realized one thing, that editing is pretty boring. And that's why I wanted to make like one shot videos for most of the problems. Even if you see like majority of the problems that I try to solve, um, once I start solving them, I tend to do very less I would say editing in between, because I try to go through them in just one sequence. And in order to do that, I actually had to understand it very clearly in my head before I am actually able to do it. So that's how I started getting good after, I would say, about 8 months or so. And right around that time, I also got hired at Microsoft. So number one, I got hired at Microsoft because of this channel. Many people might know that story as well. Let me know in the comments if you don't know the full story. It's actually pretty awesome, so I can also share that. And after joining Microsoft, I had no motivation because I already completed my dream, right? But the thing is, along the process, I actually started enjoying making these videos, and that's why I continue doing that. So now whenever I do make like DSA videos, I don't do it because I want a FAANG job. That's it. I already did that. I got laid off, but that's fine. They have to do what they have to do. I still have the option to go back. So eventually I might end up back at some other FAANG companies. But the thing is, now I make these videos because I enjoy making them. So that has been my story. So thank you so much for asking that. And let me know if you have any follow-up questions to that. In terms of my strategy, I just told you that I had good analytical mind ever since I was a student. So I was able to quickly grasp those concepts. And whenever I see a problem, I just don't see it as a computer's problem. Like, let's say if you are trying to solve a graph problem, instead of treating it as a graph problem, try to think it as a real life problem. That what if I am a person who is trying to invite people for a party, and I have few criteria. Number one criteria is I'm going to invite all the people I know. Second criteria is for some of the people I'm going to invite their friends whom I don't know. So there is going to be like 1 degree of connection between myself and them. So how would that happen? And now that this is a graph problem, but I just explain it to you. What if it's a real life scenario, and how do I permute and find connection between all of these parties? How to do that? So that's just one example that I usually take on myself to become better at DSA problems. Okay, next question is, I have done with array, string, linked list, and algorithm like two pointer, prefix sum, sorting algorithm. Okay, okay, that's good. What's so yeah, I think the further question is it sufficient for cracking entry level front end job? Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not I haven't mentioned it in the question written over here at the top, but overall basically question is, this person has done this much, so is it sufficient for entry level front end job? To be honest, who knows? Like, who knows what question they are going to ask? What if in an interview they end up asking question from tree? Will you be able to solve it or not? So yeah, it's hard to tell. Now I have never been a front end engineer, so I don't know how important DSA is from front end point of view, but I believe it would be important at least in some like top tier companies, that's for sure. So yeah, hope I would suggest that if you are really struggling and really dedicated on finding a job, why don't you just apply at bunch of different places, and don't leave any gaps in between your preparation. Okay, thoughts on pivoting to a TPM role versus a traditional data analyst or SWE role? I mean, TPM, DA, or SWE, all three are good career choices. And each one of them has different set of skills that one person needs. So question is, what is your personality trait? Are you good with people, and are you able to understand technology and make plans and complete it? Maybe TPM is the right choice for you. Do you really love playing around with like bunch of different data and trying to find meaningful information, build models, and find like unknown information, make reports, dashboards, and things like that? Then DA is a good role for you. Do you really like making good things happen and deploy something and make real life impact that way? SWE might be the role for you. So it's about your personality, what you want to do, and just yeah, follow along. Okay, next question is, sir, how to maintain consistency in DSA? Just like be disciplined, which I personally lacked. So I would be honest that I'm not the person to lecture you on discipline, because I have been struggling with keeping proper discipline. Like I was really lazy back in the day, and when I was student, I was super lazy. I was one of those students who always were like maybe in like 50 to 60% mark, always sitting on last benches and doing all sorts of like funny things. Now I let far too things go because of my laziness, because of my lack of discipline. And what if I had started preparing for FAANG maybe like 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago? I could have done way more different things in my career. I don't have any regrets. I just want to say that I realized these things quite late because I was not too disciplined or not too sincere. I'm not asking you to become serious, but be sincere about what you want to do in your career. So if I were to do all of these things again, I would still do the fun things, but maybe here and there I would find time to do things like DSA or networking or meeting different people and applying for better jobs. So I wish I had done that, but it is what it is. It's too late for me now, and I'm really at a pretty happy place. So I don't have any complaints. But in my opinion, if you're struggling with consistency, try to make better habits. And now, how to make better habits? There are 50 different books on that. Short version, maybe try to find like a really hard thing or really annoying thing that you know that you would not like to do, and just do that for 30 days. Even if it's only doing for 1 minute. So something annoying would be, let's say, brushing your teeth at night. If you're not doing something, doing that, make sure that at 10 p.m. you would every night brush your teeth, even if you're not doing it. And that's how you start building small disciplines or small habits, and that would eventually make big results in all the other things in your life. So yeah, that's just one example. Okay. So next question is, hello sir, I am currently in third semester of BTech and done till React and DSA till Array, but I have to revise DSA every time I start from semester break. What to manage it for securing an internship? Please, I think please say. Um, yeah, I mean, it's pretty common, right? Whenever actually I came back from my vacations, yeah, I barely remember anything that they taught in previous semester. The only thing is, you are in third semester, so you are in very early. I would say that when you, number one, either start doing lead code for fun. So that's one way to stay up to date on DSA, that you would always have at least a motivation to complete things. Second thing, if not, maybe in my opinion, I would suggest that try to just like make notes of things that you've already done. So whenever, let's say, you go on a break for a month or two, come back, at least you try to revise those notes, and then you become up to speed on few things. So yeah, that's the only opinion I can say. And in order to yeah, make sure that you secure an internship, I would, for that I would for sure say that you become preemptively ready on a lot of things. So things like applying, reaching out to people, and making sure that you have all of your knowledge that you've learned in your brain and not just like being forgotten. So at least keep on practicing. So yeah, maybe solving like 2 3 lead code problems a week would be a good starting point in my opinion. Okay, Himanshu is suggesting please review my resume, sir. Unfortunately, I am not able to do it, man. um I just don't have time. And if I have to do like individual resume management, it would take me too long. There are some good subreddits for that. Number one I can suggest is r/resumes, so it's pretty good. Number two I can suggest is CS career questions. Both of them have pretty good, like smart people who really help out with things like resume reviews and suggestions. So yeah, try to reach out to them. Okay, next question is how to clear ATS. um there are a bunch of different tools available online, so they can help you with ATS. So I would just suggest, yeah, whenever you make some resumes, just make sure that you take use of those online free tools. And what if you run out of free trials? Just make new free trials, man. Yeah. Also, Harshit is also asking below that good resume tips. So good resume tips is number one, review what job description is. Start using AI. That ask AI to go over the job description and find the important SEO optimized ATS friendly keywords. Once you have those keywords, make sure that they are also present in your resume. That the for the skills that you have. And after that, make sure that you compare that with like ATS friendly resume. Get a score above 85 and then only apply. So that would be standard resume tips. Okay, next question is, sir, what should I learn? What technology should I learn after Spring Boot? So yeah, there are a lot of there is no shortage of technology. You can learn about iOS apps, Android apps. Actually, Android apps would be a good starting point because it's all Java based, so it would be easier for you to comprehend. So yeah, if you want, you can learn over there. You can also learn some front end stuff. So React would be a good place to start. Yeah, you can also learn about DBA stuff if you really want to get stuck to the backend piece. Now, one thing that is really hot and that would make you like really good candidate would be DevOps stuff. So understanding that how the end-to-end DevOps pipeline works and how can you actually create that along with your Java Spring Boot knowledge. So that would make you a good candidate for a backend engineer. So yeah, there are few things that you can actually work. Okay, what is your opinion on Web 3.0? Should I learn? I am good at Mern Stack. If you're good at Mern Stack, and see if you're able to secure job that way. If not, yeah, of course, it's never going to be harmful to learn new things. Okay, next question is, okay, tips to learn DSA. I understand that concepts, but how do I go about applying them? Thank you. I think I briefly talked about that during the stream. So if you go back maybe half an hour, you would be able to see what I mean. What I suggest is, number one, try to relate it with real life scenarios because that's ultimately what it is. all the data structure and algorithms that you are seeing are actually real life problems on how do we go about storing and retrieving data in the quickest manner depending on the application that we are trying to solve. So for some scenarios, two pointer makes sense. Why does two pointer make sense? Because let's say uh, if there is a problem like buying and selling stocks, and you want to maximize the profit, and there are some restrictions to it. In that regard, I think the only way you can do it is with like two pointers, because it makes absolutely good sense to do it. That would be, even if you are not trying to solve a DSA problem, if I just tell you that, hey, I have given you these numbers and I want you to find the maximum profit you can make, what would your approach be? Intuitively, what you would be doing would still be considered as two pointers. So trying to understand the questions from the real life application point of view, that would be the starting point. And once you do that, then think that as a logical person, how do you solve the problem? And once you know that, data structure and algorithm are just the tools. So then understanding that which tool would you need. Now hammer is also good, and so is what do I want to say? Okay, so let's say hammer and sickle, both are tools. Are you going to use sickle to throw a nail down the wall? Of course not. You are going to use a hammer for that, and vice versa. So that's why I'm saying that array, linked list, trees, graphs, those are all the different tools. But you need to first understand that what is the problem you are trying to solve, and then it would come intuitively to you that, hey, in this problem it makes absolutely good sense to solve it using this technology. So yeah, that's what my opinion would be. Okay, next question is, would you recommend designing data intensive application to read for L3, L4 role? If so, I guess just focus on single point failure, scalability, cap theorem, identify where to implement cache, etc. No, in my opinion, I think you need way more than that. Like what you have said is like single point failure, scalability, cap theorem, where to implement cache. They are just basic stuff. I mean, of course, you need to make sure that how would you be able to uh, how would you be able to handle in real life scenarios. Let's say if I ask you that, and especially if you are talking about level 3 or level 4 rule. So in my opinion, at Google, I think level 3 and level 4 are entry level. So if it's entry level at Google, I would say it's intermediate at other companies. And L4, it's like, of course, senior level. So in my opinion, this is like the basic concepts. So you, of course, you should know these basic concepts. But on top of it, if I ask you to design Uber, what would be the first thing that would come to you? Let's say I ask you that, hey, if I want to design an Uber like system, I don't expect, like, let me rephrase the question. I don't expect you to design Uber fully because it's an entry level role. But let's say that if we are talking about designing a system like Uber, what are the first point of concerns that would come to your mind? I'm not talking about the full scale system design, but still I want to know that what does your thought process looks like, or are you able to understand the underlying complexities associated with running a system as complicated as Uber? Now, how would you approach that? And that's like what they need. So yeah, I mean, I think you need to prepare more in terms of system design. Okay, next question is how many lead code questions are enough to crack FANG? Is lead code 150 or lead code top 150 enough? It is enough if you understand all the patterns, and if I give you a new question, you are able to comprehend that under this new pattern, the logical solution would be using like this pattern or that pattern or this data structure or that data structure. And you also should have grasp over the underlying like time and space complexity and trade-offs. Okay, so what do I mean by that? That there is no one fixed answer that how many number of questions are enough to crack FANG. Someone can crack FANG just by only completing blind 75. That's only 75 questions. Someone cannot crack FANG despite having done like neat code, like despite having done at least neat code 450, like all 450 questions. So in my opinion, the ideal session would be neat code 150 and lead code 150 are great list to go over all the topic. So all like 20-25 topics, they all would be covered. After those topics, do the self analysis that do you understand these topics and are you able to identify those patterns in random questions without any hints. Then you feel like you are ready, because FANG interviews are getting tougher and tougher. Like if I talk about Facebook interviews, they expect you to solve like two medium to hard questions in 45 minutes. So that's pretty hard to do actually. And yeah, and it's not like that they pick the exact same question from lead code. There is also the question that they have picked from lead code. It is also modified slightly with like different wordings and different way of representing it. Okay, let me do one thing. Trying to type up all of these questions is getting really annoying. Let me see if I can pop out the chat, and at the same time let me try to add one screen capture. Mm, just a second, just bear with me for a moment. I'm trying to make some changes. I'm trying to include direct screen as part of, okay. Okay, so now mm, okay, this is the question we are talking about. Okay, let's see if we can get through this. Oops, I think I sorry for the delay, folks. I should have done this before. Uh, let's let's just try to use the window capture over here. I'm just trying to make it simpler so I don't have to type in question every single time. Okay, how do we do this? Cool. Mm, I think this is good enough. Yeah, I think everyone would relate. This is good enough. Yeah, so yeah, we already just explained this. Whereas, okay, yeah, I think we were talking about this question. Sorry for the delay, folks. I really should have thought about it before. Okay, so Daniel is saying that I found your channel 2 years ago when I was depressed in my second year university. It's so heartwarming to see you doing well now. I am about to graduate. Thanks for the motivation and mentorship. Of course, Daniel, I really appreciate your comment. Hopefully, you do well. And yeah, we have all been through the depression period, and things have been crazy in this world. So hopefully you find good things in your career. Okay, Vikas, need code 150 enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just explained that. Okay, tips to learn DSA. I understand the concept, but how do I go about applying them? It would be better if appreciated. I think I just answered this one. Is low level design asking for a fresher's job? No, I not every time. Maybe some companies would ask you, very rarely, but that's not a high priority item because it's a fresher role. There is a very low expectation that you being good at it. I think they would more focus on what your experience has been in terms of your academia, your school level education, and things like that. So, and also of course coding and DSA. Okay, next question is uh, how many lead code problems to solve in order to be good at. There is no one short answer. So yeah, some people are good with blind 75, some people can't do it with neat code 450. It's not only about being good at solving lead code problems, but it's also about being good at communicating and conveying your thoughts. So make sure you focus on that. Yeah. Your instructional video on blind 75 has been exceptionally helpful, significantly boosting my confidence. Thank you for your excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thanks, you found it useful. How to get job as a fresher in DevOps domain, and how to get okay. So in the DevOps world, basically the common expectation is that you should be able to pick a piece of code that is currently sitting in GitHub or some other repository, and through that being able to deploy all the way to production. That is the most common job of a DevOps engineer. On top of it, also want you to be able to manage or make sure that the piece of code that you are currently deploying, uh, is it inducing some additional vulnerabilities? Does the rollback access control has been taken into consideration? Where the artifacts are being stored, if something wrong happens, how quickly can we roll back? Do we have proper approvals in place and things like that? So all of these like are added bonus things that would be good if we can automate them and make them as part of the DevOps pipeline. On top of it, we want to realize that if we live in the cloud world, maybe we can incorporate creation and destruction of cloud resources using something like Terraform, or cloud specific resources. Can we make them as part of the pipeline too? So there are all of these additional features or building blocks that we can make on top of the existing pipelines, and that's what DevOps engineers role is. It's like, number one, automating things that has been manual, and number two, adding more automated features and functionalities that were previously not being considered or part of the actual deployment process. um, that's where I would start, that this is the final objective. Now what are the tech stack that does that? Now if I want to take the source code, what are the different options? Like Azure DevOps, GitHub, then GitLab, Bitbucket. There are like 10 different source code repository, like version controls that does that. On top of it, after version controls, what are the different building mechanisms? So there is like Jenkins, then there is um, some cloud specific solutions that does that. Maybe try to learn one or two. Okay, once you know how to build the code, how do you run automated test into it? How do you do dynamic scans, static scans in the existing test? How do you do that? Once that is done, where you are going to store the artifacts? Can you incorporate the infrastructure as code scripts in as part of your one of the steps of your DevOps pipeline? That's done. Now how do you use role based access control into it? So do all of these things, and of course you can join as a junior DevOps engineer as a fresher. So but yeah, you will need to learn all of these things. Okay, next question is tips to learn DSA. I think I already answered that. Walter White is asking that I am currently assigned to testing. I am a fresher. I want to switch to DevOps. Can you guide? I just explained. Um, okay, now okay is saying that I'm in the fourth year DSA, in the third year now, fourth year doing MERN stack and aiming for at least to get an internship before job. Yeah, I mean, if you are aiming for that, just keep applying at different companies. That's the only thing I would suggest. Okay, I think we are coming to the end of most of our questions. So let me just. Okay, what is your opinion on Golang? Can I get a job as a fresher in it? Of course, man. Golang is a good language, not the most popular one, of course, by any standards, because we have a lot of other really like more popular languages. But of course, with Golang, you can also find a job as long as you're really good at Golang. Um, Okay, Ian is saying that I guess designing Uber, it's proximity based services. So identify functional, non-functional requirement, do the back envelope estimation, and then provide whether which RD, BMS or NoSQL, and then provide overall view on which way to handle request, implement load balancer. Yeah, of course. So that's a good approach, right? You have good, decent understanding of what actual system design is. So why are you being afraid, and why you only try to focus on just certain pieces of system design? So if you actually can find questions like this and you already have knowledge, Ayan, I would suggest just use it as your advantage. That hey, because you already know these things, yeah, just make sure that you explain that to your interviewer that hey, I can do these things. Okay, next question is your source from learning DSA, recommended courses, and I think, yeah. Okay, my source for learning DSA and recommended courses. I think Free Code Camp has some really good courses, in my opinion. So go and check out the DSA courses over there. I have produced some courses on my own, but if I say that they are good, I would be biased. So I wouldn't say that they are absolutely really good. Other people in the comments, maybe they can mention that or attest to it. And yeah, apart from that, use AI would be a good tool. Recommendation is mostly like, yeah, you can learn DSA courses for like within like 8 hours. There are many videos available, but key part is doing it daily as part of the routine or your practice. So just keep doing that. Now I'm getting pretty tired, so I would just end up after this giant's question. Okay, Anurag is asking that, sir, I have passed out of college and I'm still jobless. Can you please help me suggest get how to get a job as quickly as possible. Reach out to your seniors, man. Number one thing I would suggest, like any person within your batch or your senior who have already been able to finish and get a job, just reach out to them, see that how did they do it, apply at more companies. That's a given fact. Be ready and be sharpen your interview skills, because it's hard to get interviews, and once you do get an interview, if you're not able to convert and you are actively looking to find a job, that keeps on building more pressure. I have been through that scenario, so I can totally understand what you are going through. That you are constantly trying to become more and more desperate with every failed interview, and the interviews are hard to come by, and that adds more pressure towards your mind. Now I know it's easier said than done, that don't be in pressure and try to stay relaxed. It's easier to relax if you already have a job and you're trying to find a new one, but it's really tough and you get nervous and jitters if you don't have a job and you have a lot of riding on your next interview. So in order to help out with those interview jitters, I would suggest doing more mock interviews. So my advice to you would be, number one, reach out to more people to find those opportunities for the interviews. Number two, reach out to people in order to gain mock interview experience and conduct mock interviews like at least once or twice a week. And third, start learning new stack, maybe in the back end, maybe in the front end. So while you are waiting for those interviews, at least you are gaining some skills. And yeah, that's what my opinion would be. Okay, Anupam is asking that, sir, I'm revising the concept of DSA, trying to get job, no interviews are scheduled, very less, facing problem in consistency. Man, you need to develop discipline. It's hard to develop discipline, but I don't want to motivate you, because I try to motivate myself and motivation only works for 1 or 2 days. It's not a permanent solution. I struggle with discipline or consistency, so I'm not the best person to advise you, but I just want to say I have tried few things that have helped me stay somewhat consistent. Number one, try to build better habits. Number two, be a better friend to yourself. So once you realize that this is something that you want to do and it's good for you, at least try to stay on that path. Like, it's easier to do DSA or study when you are extremely motivated. It's extremely hard to do it when you are feeling down or when you have your friends inviting you to a party and still do it. So I'm not saying that don't go to parties or whatnot. That's a good part of your overall growth and making connections. But I would just say that keep it in behind your head, that hey, at least uh, let me try to solve these 10 questions in within this week. And if I have to solve 10 questions, let me try to do at least 2 questions a day, so I can be done in 5 days, and there would be still 2 more days where for some reason, if I'm not able to do it, I still have some leeway around. So that's just one opinion, but at least try to stay on the path. If you lose consistency, when you come back after 2 months, you are starting from zero, because it's very easy to forget these things. So yeah, the cost of not being consistent is huge. That Keep that in mind. Okay, next question is, sir, what are your thoughts about joining service-based company as a fresher? Man, it's a good opportunity, because if you're providing services, you have the opportunity to learn a lot of new things. So as a fresher, I would recommend find whatever job you can at first. Once you find it, then see if you can find something better, or learn something new, or that's it. That's the only way to move forward in your career. Govindraj is saying that please make a video about your full story. Now it's already 1 a.m. So I would give you a very short version of it, and maybe in the next live stream I would give you like a much longer version of full story. My full story is basically, did my bachelor's in India. I was opting for MBA, but now I was not able to clear CAT. I had decided to take 1 year off of my CAT, but I said during that time my friend suggested, why don't just go to Canada, and I got a job. I got a study visa, came here as a student, Did my masters. After my masters, couldn't find a job for close to 6 to 7 months. I found a job, stayed on job for 3 months and got laid off. Found another job, stayed on for 6 years. Then decided I want to do FAANG. Started this channel. While I have started this channel, I was already working at a job. I had a pregnant wife with twins. I'm an immigrant to this country. I had 2 kids coming on the way, so I needed to make sure that I make more money. That's why I was doing Uber on the weekends as a Uber driver. Like I was doing Uber before as well, but I have stopped doing it during COVID. But after that, when the vaccines started become available, I started. So I was doing YouTube, like beginning of this channel, and then I was also doing Uber on the side, and I had a pregnant wife with twins who was also working at her company. During my Uber ride, I met a guy who was the president of Microsoft Canada. I didn't realize that that person was the president of Microsoft Canada, but that person got pretty impressed by my YouTube channel because this YouTube channel was Destination FAANG, aiming to get a job at FAANG company. And that person really liked me in that short, brief Uber ride. So that person asked me to send him my resume. I sent him resume. End up like I went over 6 interviews after that, but end up gaining a job. Worked there for a year. Once again got laid off. Find another job. Worked there for 3 months. Once again got laid off. Then also I find another job which I'm pretty happy at, that I'm currently working at. And pretty recently I received an offer from Microsoft, but for some reason there are a lot of things happening on the sidelines, so I'm sticking with my current company. But that's my story. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully if I didn't bore a lot of people, because I'm trying to end the stream, but hopefully you find it useful. So that's about it. I will end the stream now. I had a goal of getting 5 super chats, but that's fine. We are not able to make it, and I totally understand that. Maybe in the next stream we would be able to do it. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about my stream? What are the things that I could have done better? And what do you want to see from my... Yeah, Vishal, I'll make a video on communication soon. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, take care.